Hello, everybody. It is December 14th, 2024. I have showed up in my festive attire to celebrate me because today is my 33rd rebirth day. This is a big one. I love, gosh, we're talking about triple 11s. We're talking about the magic of 33. We are celebrating a big day today because on December 14th, 1991, I was in a collision. I have included beneath this a link to a lovely documentary that was done about this story. And so I celebrate big time. Kind of every day, but especially on today. Even more so than my own actual birthday in February, because this one is a really big deal to me, and today is a super really big deal. So I was like, on my 33rd rebirthday, what do I want to talk about real quick? What I really want to talk about is the body vehicle. And, I've spent my entire career teaching people about keeping that body tuned up, creating a vessel that is as best able to give and receive, teaching people about how frequency, what you put out is what you get back, in direct correlation to your experiences and the experiences that you receive in return. And, it's just the body vehicle is something that is so misunderstood because we've gotten into this kind of weird timeline in history where we actually fell for the idea that, here, take this tablet and just get rid of that pain. And the body continues to break down behind the scenes. And then when people start falling apart, they're like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? So, oh my gosh, I'd probably be just as guilty of it. But luckily, at the age of 21, smash, 75 miles an hour, I break my neck and I have the most incredible near-death experience that I remember to this day in such detail. And that space between being able to shed the body, being able to walk out temporarily and come back in with such gratitude and joy for what I put myself here to do. Yeah, it's a place that's so beautiful it hurts to remember sometimes. And it's also a place that I don't pine away for because I appreciate every single second that I have here. So yeah, I celebrate most things every day. I dress in weird outfits a lot of the time. But because, you go, oh, that's so sweet that you do that to make other people smile. I'm entertaining myself too. So don't be fooled by my altruism. It's keeping myself joyful. It's making an effort because, hey, if you haven't figured it out by now, living a joyful life, and we've all got roller coasters and ups and downs, and, we get bad news and we have bad things happen to us and we have great things happen to us. And it's trying to keep an even keel as all of those things unfold. So yeah, I'm responsible for my own joy and happiness. End of. Nobody else is. And I'm really happy that at such an early stage in life, I was able to learn that. But I was reflecting because I was thinking about that body vehicle and how my whole life kind of went down this road of trying to teach that principle to people. Don't be crying and complaining because your body's falling apart now. And you didn't do the things, you over-medicated it, or you didn't exercise, or you ate like shit, or you didn't do the things that were going to see you through. We're all guilty of doing stuff at some times, but it's that kind of 80-20 rule, taking good care of yourself most of the time and having fun when you cheat on the times when you're not. That's what balance is all about. But I really started thinking about the vehicle, and it took me back to 1989, September 1989, and it was a dark and stormy night. Seriously, it actually was. I was in Hartsville, South Carolina. It was Hurricane Hugo. It was September of 1989, and we were bracing down. I was in college, so you can imagine we were having such a laugh. And being so incredibly irresponsible as the Category 5 winds began to pick up. And we're like, hey, I wonder if we can fly. And we were out on the soccer field, flying around like idiots. And we're lucky somebody didn't get a branch through their forehead. But you know what? We were safe that night. I don't know how, because we had a bathtub full of beer when other people were filling their tubs with water because we were going to lose our drinking water. But isn't that what being young and dumb is all about? So anyway, I'm thinking of my vehicle. So I had gotten this Toyota Corolla. It was brown. I loved it though because it had a sunroof. It was an electric sunroof. I'd never had anything like this before. It had electric windows. I was now not on an 8-track, but it had a cassette player. It was really awesome. I loved this car. However, you know, when you're young, and I've had this car for a little while, I'm like, ooh, there's a big storm a-coming, and this car is insured. This is no joke, guys. And so I decided I would park my Toyota Corolla under the biggest oak tree on my lane and hope for the best. Hope that that tree would fall and crush my car, and that insurance would dictate that I might get myself a new car. This is no kidding. I'm a college kid, remember. So, long story short, whoosh, Auntie M, there's no place like home. Storm comes through. It was wicked. Wipes us out. We were out of college for like a month. And, you know, Hartsville is like flattened. And I walk outside that next morning. And the cherry red vintage Corvette across the road, smashed. My next door neighbor's Impala, you know, their Chevy Impala, smashed. And here sits the oak tree, the mighty oak, and my Toyota Corolla unscathed beneath. And I actually just shrieked out loud. I was like, what? Everybody else on the street, crushed car, new vehicles all around. And I felt really sorry for myself on the day, but I got over it, you know. And now fast forward to September 1990. So that was September 89, September 1990. I have graduated from, September 1991. I've graduated from college, and I have moved to Charleston, South Carolina, and this is where my boyfriend at the time was from, and it's kind of what you did. You know, your mom is picking out your China patterns if you're still dating the same guy when you graduate, and we moved to his hometown of Charleston, South Carolina. So it's September, school is back in. I was working at a sign company, and at the time he was working in a mall, and there was this brand new thing on the market, and it was called a cellular phone. And he worked in this kiosk that was selling these newfangled cellular phones. What do you mean? There's no cord. How could that possibly be? And you're like, no, really? It beams in this signal and you can pick it up, and people are like, wow. Yeah, it's like a satellite kind of, you know, but a little miniature one. People were, wow. And they were super expensive at the time. But anyway, that's what he did. He worked in a kiosk in the North Charleston Mall selling these newfangled cellular phones. So it was September of 1991, and I get a phone call, and he is frantic. And he was like, I came back to the kiosk. I must have just set my keys and my, you know, whatever down, my keys and stuff, my wallet, and these kids came around, these high school age kids, and started asking all these questions about the phone. And so he was explaining how the phone works and, you know, what different plans there were for these phones. And the kids were like super interested. And now they're kind of surrounding the kiosk. So whilst he was not looking, someone picked up the keys to his truck. And next thing, when he finished work, he goes outside to the parking lot, and there's no truck. His truck has been stolen. And I will never forget, he was so, oh my gosh. You know, it's like somebody going home and rifling through your underwear drawer. He just felt so violated. You know, like all his stuff was in there in his truck. He loved that truck. And it was, you know, it was just an awful thing. And I remember going home that night to the apartment that we had on just off of Highway 17. And I was plagued that night with, you know, if you guys have followed me in any way, shape, or form, you know that I get dreams, I see things, I hear voices. It's like the commonplace for me. So I go to bed that night, and Charleston's a big city now, guys. You know, it's like 350,000, whatever, and there's multiple high schools. And just like this, I knew exactly where that vehicle was. I saw it so clearly. I saw the kids stealing it. I saw it like, it was just like a vision. So, me being me, the next morning I get up, he goes off to work, and I don't say what I'm doing because sure, why would you? Why would that not be dangerous? And I go to this particular high school. Now, picture this. No, I was not in costume, but I may as well have been. So I walk into this high school. I asked to speak to the principal. School's just back in session. Remember, it's September 1991. So, like, everybody, are you playing the music in your head? Can you see what your hair looked like? I mean, it was a vibe. So, anyway, I go into the school, and she's like, can I ask what this is about? And I'm like, I'd really like to speak to him in private, right? So, I go in to the principal of this very large high school, and I say, yesterday, my boyfriend's vehicle was stolen. His truck was stolen. And he's kind of looking at me, and he goes, I'm sorry, Miss Hensley. Are you coming in here accusing one of my students? And I went, actually, I am. And I can tell you exactly what he looks like. I didn't get the name, but I could tell you exactly what he looks like. And he's sitting there, and he's kind of leaning back in the chair. And I'm like, this guy thinks I am batshit crazy right at this stage. But then he didn't, because he's listening to me. And I know I'm, doing the usual. I know this sounds crazy. I know this sounds nuts, but like, I had this vision. I had a vision, and he was like, okay. And I was like, I saw them. I saw exactly what happened. I saw him steal this truck. And then he sits down, and he goes, just give me a couple of minutes. And he steps out of the office, and he comes back in, and he sits down, and he goes, Miss Hensley, this is your lucky day. I said, what? And he goes, not only do I believe you, I know exactly who has done this. And I went, what? And he goes, I got a phone call from a parent this morning, and she was very concerned because her son had pulled up in a vehicle that she knew didn't belong to him. And he said he'd borrowed it from a friend. And it was a blue pickup truck. Is that what your boyfriend drives? And I was like, yes! And he goes, we know who has it. And he goes, I'm going to go ahead and call the police. And I do know that this guy didn't come to school today. And I went, wow, I bet he's out joyriding in the truck that he stole. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. Now, remember, guys, this is before I've had my car accident. So like all the other weird stuff that I do nowadays, this is just my usual, grew up with weird stuff, like seeing things and all. Like I haven't had all the healing stuff and any of that. So this was all this was all kind of new-ish. Not really new, but, I didn't really go out talking about it. And so the principal is like, I know that was hard for you to say because it is very strange. And he goes, it does make you look very odd. And I'm like, really? And he's like, so we're going to go outside and let's wait for the police to get here. I'll walk out with you. And he goes, but first I need to go around and check on the bus run because it's now, school's getting ready to get out. The bells are ringing and there's kids starting to come out, high school kids starting to come out everywhere. So the principal goes one way out the door and is going to meet me out front. And I walk out the side door and there's this huge parking lot. Lo and behold, I see this truck pulling up to the side parking lot with the music blaring. And I'm like, that's our truck. And this kid is sitting in there, that's bumping, and the windows are down, and I was like, So instead of doing what a normal person would do, where you go back into the school and go, quick, here he is, I go get in my car. I am now suddenly Daisy Duke in the Dukes of Hazzards, or Hazzard, and I don't even know why, but it just happened this way. I get into the car, and I'm like, he is not getting away, because I'm like, if he sees that principal coming, which, lo and behold, he did. He sees the principal walking straight towards him. Next thing, he fires up the engine. He'd obviously come to the school to pick up one of his friends in his new truck. So I am now in my vehicle at this stage, the trusty Toyota Corolla that did not get crushed in September of 1989. It's now September 1991. And I jump in this thing and I'm like, yeah! Right? This guy backs up. I pull up behind him in my car and he flips open, had one of those back window things, and he yells out, move, you bitch! And I'm like, woohoo! And he takes off and I go around the parking lot and bam! That's right. I drove into the front of our own vehicle. That's right. Why did I do that? I don't know. Adrenaline makes you do funny things, but we got that truck back. And the only thing that happened to my beautiful trusty Corolla is when I hit the way that I impacted the truck, the hood, or the bonnet, as we call it over here in Ireland, popped up. And it had broken the latch. Not even the front was damaged, but I had really damaged the truck. But at least we had it. At least it was ours. And so all that had to be fixed was the latch on that Corolla. So I'm like, wow, that vehicle, right? Wow. Well, lo and behold, wasn't that vehicle being spared for another very special day? And it was December 14th, 1991. When I left my apartment to go to a Christmas party. And I was dressed in a Jingle Bell necklace and a Santa Claus t-shirt. There's a shocker. And I was on my way to the Sign It Quick party being hosted by Frank and Teresa Aucoin, who I absolutely adore and who taught me so much about life. And so they just shook their heads when this whole thing unfolded, because they knew. They were just always wise. And so I go towards Highway 17, and I'm getting ready to make a left-hand turn onto this major highway. And I'm sitting at the red light. And when my light finally turned green, everything changed. It was a metaphysical and metaphorical crossroads of my life. And I go through the intersection, and I made it to that last lane of traffic before turning left going towards town, when I was plowed into by an elderly gentleman who shouldn't have been driving at 75 miles an hour. My car was T-boned. My neck went through the window. My neck broke, along with a lot of other things in my body. And thus began the adventures of Mary Helen, the metaphysical healer. But what was so interesting, again, like I said, I put the whole story about that is in the link below. Because what I wanted to focus on today's lesson, today's sermon, is about the vehicle. And how funny it is, how hard we are on these vehicles, these bodies, which are actually here to be in service to us. We're not a body with a soul. We're a soul who has a body at our disposal to let us know when we're doing really well, to teach us lessons, to limit us in ways that make us think we're limited, when actually, with the power of the mind, we're limitless. And so that body is here working for us, and we take that for granted, and we're so mean to them, and we do awful things to them, and we say mean things about the body, and really that body is here in service. It creates symptoms to let you know when you're missing the mark. And isn't that the true definition of sin? If you look up the origins of the word, it's to miss the mark. And so the body is designed to spike a fever when it's fighting something. And what do? We go and we medicate that and act like that's bad. That's not bad. That's a body that's functioning. And we develop disease processes to let us know, hey, you got super pissed off about something, or you've got a situation in your life that you are not taking care of. You're ignoring, you're pretending it's going to take care of itself, and you're not getting the lesson that it is there to teach you. And guess what? Your body is now having to create an illness in order to get your own attention. It's amazing. This body vehicle is amazing. And so, when I got smashed and up I am, and I'm first looking down and my car is spinning, that trusty brown Toyota Corolla that I couldn't kill with a Category 5 hurricane. And when I went all Daisy Duke and smashed into the back of a stolen vehicle with that car, it lived to see another day, because it gave its time in order to save my life. And it was in that car that I had my death. But it was also because of that car that I resurrected into a new experience of life and a new understanding of who and what we really are. So, I have such appreciation for this body, banged up as it is. I have so many things in my body that don't work properly. And guess what? The beautiful lesson about leaving that vehicle, watching that vehicle crumple and my own body die within it. The best lesson that it gave to me, that it doesn't matter. It served its purpose. And so I don't invalidate my worth, how much I can contribute to the world, how much joy I can bring to myself, the vastness of the experiences that I can provide for my soul while here. I don't equate that with what my body looks like, or if I've got an achy back or whatever. I'm only as limited as I allow myself to be. And that's why I wanted to talk about the body vehicle today, and remember those stories about that trusty old Corolla. Because it's not every day you die. And that car had its other two chances to give up the ghost, literally. And it was being saved for something special, and that was my death. And because of that death, I have come back and I've lived life to the fullest. I have such deep appreciation for this body. You know, I'm deaf in my left ear, and I've detached my retina in that left eye. I broke all these bones, and I've had cancer in my breast, and I've had a tumor in my pituitary gland in my brain, and I've had pain every day of my life. And I couldn't give a fiddler's fart, y'all, because I've raised 2 beautiful kids. I've written loads of books. I have spoken to people all around the world. I have traveled. I have spent so much wonderful quality time with my mother. I have really, really embraced life. And it doesn't matter what state my body was in. That's why I know I'll never end up, you know, completely afflicted and in a wheelchair, because it would be wasted on me. Honestly, it would, because I would make the very best of it. But that's what smashing this body up did for me. It didn't make me feel sorry for myself, and it didn't make me go, why me? Why do bad things happen to good people? It had the exact opposite effect on me. It showed me that I'm as relevant as I allow myself to be. And the state of my body, my aches and pains, everything that's going on in there is, you know, they're just mere expressions of the storyline that this body has lived. And boy, has this body lived. And I see that with gratitude. And I don't measure myself against this physical form. I measure my strength and my wit and my vitality and my contributions and my experiences based on how this soul has thrived within a broken body. And so if that's a lesson I can share with you today, December 14th, 2024, 33 years later. Can you guys believe it? 33 years later. Oh, with such gratitude. My message I give to you today is that body vehicle. Why don't you sit down, make yourself a cup of tea tonight, and go through all your aches and pains and look at everything you're doing anyway. Or you might be having a different conversation. Look at everything that you're using that body as an excuse not to do. And, you know, that's the big choice you have to make. How do you want to live through life, you know, and how do you want to experience the life ahead of you? Do you want to just get out there and do stuff anyway? You know, there used to be feel the fear and do it anyway. Feel the pain and do it anyway. And if there's pain that's limiting you, then okay. If you can't do something on one day that you wish you could do, sit back and do something else that you can do. Don't allow the body that is here to serve you to be your excuse for not doing great things. Take it from the master elf. You know, that's the greatest lesson that I learned along the way, because, you know, there's going to be lots of ups and downs, and my body's not getting any younger. And when you've had the type of injuries that I've had for the vast majority of my life, they're not getting easier. But yet I show up every day with a smile on my face, and I do what I'm able to do. And I don't martyr myself to my pains. You know, I just go and do different things. And so, that's what I'm encouraging you to do today. So, happy birthday to me. Woo! I made it. Yes. And to you, thanks for coming on this crazy journey with me, because some of you guys have been so wonderful and just have really made being able to come and share these stories and tell these, you know, mad things that have happened in my life so worthwhile. You've been so fun and so funny, and you've been so supportive and always shown up. And so from my heart on today, my 33rd rebirthday, I say thank you.